less. They're finding more relative success with less hard work, and that comes with the kind of experience that we're talking about.
Yeah, and we're going to hope that experience shows as we have now entered into picks and bans, and they are just flying by. Jax banned away from Ixenkreel, 1,000 games played, removed. Kha'Zix banned away from Rhubarbs, 830 games played, removed.
Yeah, so they're just going down the line here with some of the stuff we were predicting in the pregame, just kind of taking away everything that was played so much. Graves is a little bit of a new one. We didn't really have it on the radar for Rhubarbs to be a Graves player, but still a very high-impact champion. The Nidalee taken away is no surprise, and the Poppy being interesting because both Nexavis and Arun play Poppy, and they have pretty good win rates on that champion.
Yeah, but that is now removed. So taking a look, this is first pick. 6 bans in, what was that, 6 seconds, 12?
Yeah, very quickly.
So fast.
These teams knew exactly what they wanted here, and it looks like they're going to be going for Alistar, and it is locked in. So I want to make mention of something here for many people who haven't seen a ton of games on preseason so far. You know, there was only one of the 10 updated assassins that was really banned out here. They're pretty effective. We don't know how they work in a coordinated case, but it's actually a lot of magic damage that's going to be what is going to be throwing around a ton of the damage here. You know, characters like Malzahar, characters like Victor, which we believe is a shared champion for both of the mid laners here. And so picking Alistar as their first just says, hey, if you did want to go for any assassins, we're going to be able to peel. And the Karma Hover seems to say that Michigan has a similar idea, but they switch over to Jhin at the last moment.
Yeah, so that's Jhin now locked in for value, and Rhubarbs taking that Elise. So out of playing 1,200, not 12,000, holy cow, 1,200 ranked games this season in Season 6, only 50 of those have been Elise. So not quite as much as some of the other champions, but still definitely up there.
Well, when you're spending so much time playing Kha'Zix, you know, where do you find the time?
Exactly. Trading out one bug for the other.
They're both bugs. They both bite. You know, they both kill people when they're isolated. But now with 2 picks ready to fire back, you know, I'm kind of looking for them to take their AD carry here. You know, you already have one, presumably, part of the bot lane, unless Alistar does something surprising. And so, you know you're going to be against Jhin. Taking the whole combo, locking it up, trying to deny information to that last rotation could still be pretty valuable. That said, I am looking for a Gnar out of Ohio State, to be honest. But it looks like they're going to be going for the Trundle. That could be... okay.
Zach and Trundle now locked in for Ohio State. That's a confused expression.
Yeah, well, so when looking at Ixenkreel, and a lot of the things he played, Jax, Irelia, are his 2 big favorites far and away, right? The Jax has already been banned, so maybe they're hoping that they're going to push him onto a tank. He does have some games on, Maokai, but Maokai's always been a little tough for Trundle too because Maokai gives damage reduction rather than the raw stats, so it's not guaranteed that you're going to be taking the most value that you would be getting. He's still going to be quite big, and you're not going to be able to burn him down in a team fight quite as hard. But this seems to be a call-out saying, we think you're going to pick tanks, we want to be good against it, but also that is 3 giant health targets themselves, right?
It's going to be pretty tricky to burn through those health bars, but there's another large health bar picked up for Michigan as Nautilus is now locked in, and Karma. Ooh, get that Courage of the Colossus.
Michigan is getting very tricky right now because that could be a Nautilus support and a Karma mid. Could be a Karma support and a Nautilus top. They're letting their flex do the work for them here. And I think that's exactly what you have to do when you have last pick and champion select. You know, we were talking about these teams don't have a ton of crossover in their champion pools. You know, we just came off of Worlds. You'll see a lot of teams that are like, well, we all play Cassiopeia. We all play this. We all play that. That's not the case for these teams. So being very clever about what info you show and what info you don't can be the key to victory. And we see, looking for a bot laner and a mid laner here.
For Ohio State, yeah.
And I think, I would be happy to see a Victor. Goes pretty well. You're going to need some high damage champions in these roles. Ezreal looks like he might end up being the pickup here. Ooh, but it's going to be Echo.
Echo locked in.
Echo mid is not something that we've seen really all that often. But then, going back to what I was talking about earlier, about how magic damage is really on the rise, those chrono breaks can hit for a lot harder, and they already hit really hard.
Oh, man, the Z-Drive Resonance is so strong. I mean, it doesn't slow anymore, but the fact that you can just burst people down on such a short cooldown really, really surprising.
Yeah, specifically, Chrono Break now has significant more value with ability power in terms of the heal, but we switched from Gangplank to LeBlanc at the last minute, and that is truly surprising. I think LeBlanc, one of the assassins that was met with a lot of criticism, a lot of skepticism, you know, and some of the high skill players out there, you see he's already got Ignite, they've been loving it, but it is significantly harder to play than the previous version. You have to like really pick your skills, and yet has some of my favorite abilities in the game with that true misdirection. You know, you can fake that you're ganking top lane and then actually gank top lane, you know, stuff like that. So we're going to have to see how that plays out. What are you thinking about the team comps now that everything's locked in?
It really is a skill matchup in that mid lane, and I'm going to look forward to see how that works out. But as you said, there is a lot of collective health on Ohio State, and now taking a look at Michigan, it seems like they're kind of rounded out a little bit better. They've got Pick with Cocoon and a hook. You've got an assassin from the side, and then a nice big damage AD carry in the back line who's going to be mobilized by that Karma as well. So really, it seems like a well-rounded composition for Michigan in general. But what are you going to be looking for these teams to be doing now that you see, hey, Michigan has got the big health pool? What do they do with it?
Michigan, the Karma pick and the Jhin pick are really going to be what's going to carry them through this game. I'm going to be honest, I don't know what to expect from the LeBlanc right now, but they're all about skirmishing. They're all about taking small fights and then using things like the Mantrid Shield, the Inspire, to kind of cover everyone and let them scatter. You know, using picks like the Nautilus to both lock down one person on this side of the fight and lock down the other person. And then it's all going to be about, can Jhin get the Deadly Flourish? Can they get the Curtain Call down? And in this chaos, is LeBlanc going to be able to take someone out? And I think they actually have the edge, because a comment I want to make on the other team is, with Trundle, Zach, and Alistar, you have a lot of tanky bodies that you can cram into a corridor. You've got a lot of lockdown. But Ezreal and Echo are not the ones that I think of when I think of who do I want to capitalize on someone being stunned in place. Right? You know, that's something more of, you know, your high damage burst characters like a Kennen or a Victor or an Orianna, right? You know, Orianna felt like she would have slotted right in with the ability to headbutt Pulve or slingshot with Zach. And so it's going to require more finesse from them. You know, there's a higher burden of execution on this team here with the picks that they have. Doesn't say they can't do it, but I think it's going to be a very interesting game either way.
This is something that they've talked a little bit about, and we actually had the opportunity to speak with the coach of Ohio State to learn a little bit about their plan coming into this matchup.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Mark Zimmerman here. The day before the big game between Ohio State University and University of Michigan, I'm joined by Peter, the coach of the team for Ohio. Peter, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Happy to be here. So I think a lot of people know how a player ends up on a collegiate team. You know, they're high rated, they go to school, there's some club. How does a coach get involved?
Sure. So I was actually a player on the team before I graduated. And then after I graduated, the organization here was kind enough to offer me a coaching position as a head coach. So I accepted it, and I've been coaching ever since.
So is this a full-time position for you, or are you still on campus doing other things?
So I'm on campus doing a lot of other things, but I work full-time for IBM right now. I also am the head coach for the Overwatch team, as well as I manage other teams on campus like Hearthstone and stuff. So I'm all over the place.
Wow, that is a lot of stuff to take care of. I can't imagine. So what do you do on like a day-to-day basis, or obviously not day-to-day, but when you're helping the league team, what kind of stuff do you do for them?
Yeah, so I attend pretty much every practice. It's pretty rare that I miss practices. I watch the recordings for the games that I do miss. I do pick bans. I go over what we should do for matchups in lane. I go over the macro game. I go over where we should do rotations and stuff like that, as well as watching most of the opposing games for the opposing teams so that I know what we should expect and then can coordinate our strategy that way.
So having gotten your scouting done, do you feel like it's going to be a pretty easy win for you guys, or is it going to be a close match?
I'm feeling pretty confident. We've matched up against these guys in the past, and it hasn't gone too well for them, so I wish them good luck. Let's put it that way.
All right, well, we're going to see how Peter's prediction pans out because the games are going on right now.
Welcome back, everyone. And yeah, so he did talk a little bit at the end about the fact that the matches have previously gone OSU's way.
Yeah.
I believe that is a reference to the two games in which OSU beat Michigan to get into Challenger with their fives team.
Yeah, I think one thing that really comes out of this, and you know, we heard a little bit from Michigan's coach earlier, you know, when we kind of ran through talking about the team, you know, he watches not only his games the games of the team that he misses, whether he's there or not. But he also watches his opponent's teams. And he studies very carefully, right? And so when we're talking about the picks and bans that were done here, you know that he has to have been involved. We have a little bit of a pause right here. I think something happened to the in-game settings, but we'll probably continue. Peridot, their mid laner, is the star of this team in terms of, when you look at the rating, when you look at what they've talked about in the past that they really kind of rally around. And so I think giving him the Echo is kind of in line with our expectations of saying, like, hey, yeah, it might not be the auto slam dunk like a Victor that we were thinking about, but they are kind of passing the ball to him, and that's all going to be on that mid laner's shoulders for the most part. And so, when they talked about switching up their strategy from game to game, that is something that we need to look for, is that they don't fall into the habit of just keep giving it to him and keep giving it to him, because if he can't capitalize on the setups they're giving him, that could be a big problem heading into this game.
Similarly, this is also the best matchup for Ohio State. Again, Michigan, every single one of their players are Master tier except for their mid laner, Julius. Oh, no, Julius actually is Master. I'm sorry, it's 1D that is Diamond. I'm getting completely confused. Disregard that point entirely. It's Master versus Master in the mid lane for those two.
Truly Masters of the mid lane.
Exactly. And Assassins, even better. What better way to celebrate the mastery of these players?
Right. Well, going back to it, when you look at the Julius Peridot matchup, Peridot, if you're a master mid laner, you've played against LeBlanc too many times to count, right? LeBlanc is a staple of the mid lane for sure. But has he played a lot of games against the new LeBlanc? Is he going to be able to stand in front of kind of the secrecy and the deceit and make sure that it all works out? We don't know. That's kind of yet to be seen. So they're all kind of walking out right now, and seems like everyone is kind of just fanning out for that kind of standard lane approach. Just going to put some wards down and watch. Nothing really looking like an invade here.
But we have loaded onto the Rift, as you pointed out. This is Ohio State University taking on the University of Michigan. This is the game in a completely new form. We're going to call it the video game.
The video game, indeed.
Yes.
Shout-outs to Black Alistar, the best Alistar skin. Super cool looking. Everyone's kind of taking their place, looking for one another as 1D tosses some...
Just trying to keep an eye, make sure that he can. And meanwhile, Pustoya is nice and safe, looking for that early vision. And again, this is about looking for the vision of those junglers. In the new 622, the pathing is a little bit different, changed up for a few different people, and could mean something a little unique and exciting. We'll have to keep an eye on whether there is anything that happens.
Yeah, almost across the board, very, very similar item starts. People feel like they have a good understanding of what they want to do. You're going to see some blue leashes. I've played a lot of games in the new jungle just to try to get a feel for it. Red leash doesn't feel as good, and a big reason for that is there is a lot of experience in this new jungle, but Raptors and Krugs are some of the most difficult new camps, depending on your champion. And so you put yourself in a spot where it's kind of hard to farm one of those without smite for a lot of the characters. So you're going to start on blue, do your wolves, and then you kind of have your pick of where it is that you want to go.
We'll see where those junglers end up as they both start off with blue. Looks like Gromp is first up for Nexavis, saving his smite because of that leash. Surely he's going to use it relatively soon. Well, he is Zach. There he goes. Decides to finally pop it on that Gromp as Rhubarb's just a little bit faster already on that top side. Meanwhile, you can see some trading onto Julius. He's trying to get some damage. The early level 2 is really working out. Yeah, and that minion wave is going to make it tough. Oh, man.
Gets the Thunderlord's proc, but doesn't go in to trigger the Z-Drive Resonance. And one thing I almost completely forgot about is they are heading in just for a light little bit of damage here. Ooh, and he keeps getting more.
Yeah, Pustoy feeling very aggressive in that lane.
Yeah, one thing that I almost completely forgot to mention is Alistar himself has gotten a little bit of an update on this patch as we head into a pause. Yeah. He doesn't really function the same way, and we're going to have to see how that works out for him, because a lot of the problem with Alistar was you did your combo, your amazing, valuable combo, and then afterwards, there wasn't a whole ton to do.
You ran around and waited for it to come back.
Right, and so, but what this also means is his sustain is way down, but his uptime, so to speak, is actually significantly increased. And so, you saw a little bit of that heal kind of go out on Ezreal. That's not going to happen anywhere near the frequency that it used to. So a poke lane like Jhin Karma is going to fare probably a lot better than I was initially thinking.
Every 7 minions instead of whatever the cooldown was previously. Not to mention different builds for whether or not you max the Triumph first. So it is going to be pretty interesting to see how that lane ends up trading. I mean, Jhin Karma, you would expect that to put out a pretty hefty amount of harass as well.
Oh, yeah.
And Alistar, he's okay at taking harass, certainly, but the fact that they got level 2 first and immediately tried to put some aggression on, that already sort of speaks to what they want to do in this matchup.
And that's exactly how you're going to have to play it. Rhubarb's now heading into the middle lane, just looking around, but Peridot, playing melee versus range is one of the more daunting matchups in League, no matter what. And if you're an Echo player, you know when to stay back. Once you get the ultimate, though, yeah, then they get cocky as all hell. But
yeah.
you don't really mess with it in the early game, especially with a character like Elise on the prowl.
Yeah, speaking of which, you can see Rhubarb's right now on the invade. Gets 2 deep wards. Peridot.
Oh, Peridot's going to eat a lot of damage from this. This could be first blood, actually.
That's Ignite tossed down.
Is it going to finish it?
He's healing. No, he's going to live. Last tick
wow,
is not
he
enough.
Needed to get the auto, and that, I actually am going to say, is some inexperience on Peridot's part to understand what the new...
Oh, flash, out of range, Cocoon! Oh, Rhubarb's flashless now.
Yeah.
He sees there's no Raptor.
Uh-oh, and now first blood might happen here for Arun. The courage of the Colossus is going to save Ixencriel. So courageous in this top lane, but still not a spot that you want to be in. He really relies on his E to kind of get that wave clear. But going back to what happened in the mid lane, LeBlanc's new passive, right, mimics her old Q. You put some damage down, then you let the mark kind of cook, and then you pop it for extreme damage with one of your other abilities. So staying in combat when you miss some of your abilities is very, very scary against LeBlanc. And Julius showed that he kind of knows what he's doing on this champion.
Some very high damage. Unfortunately, not able to get the kill. Meanwhile, Rhubarb's has been able to heal up. And you just saw, with the help of his AD carry, actually cleared that ward in River. So that means that currently, Pistoy and Bacon Seeker have got to sit back and patiently catch these minions. Meanwhile, Peridot did complete his teleport into the mid lane, so teleport on that mid lane Echo instead of the Ignite, whereas Julius, you saw, looking for the kill. It's going to be a little harder now.
Just trying to recover, and so you see the mark kind of maturing right there. Having the flash down, having the teleport down is going to mean a lot for Julius's ability to keep fighting and keep trading.
Yeah, missed the sigil on that one. Tragically, not able to get the Sigil of Malice Pak. As the top laners continue farming, both flashless, Grasp of the Undying versus Courage of the Colossus. Now's the time to find out which is actually better. Courage kept Ixencriel alive.
Well, would you rather be Undying or would you rather be courageous? I think, I think it's a difference in style here. Yeah, and every time Julius is going to land that chain, it's actually a little more lethal than you think because it both applies and consumes its own mark over the duration. So, Peridot doing a pretty good job of getting out of there, but down in XP and farm could end up being a big deal. That said, Zach has yet to come into play. Zach has been farming considerably more. Does a pretty good job of being able to do things like the new Raptor camp, which kind of murders certain people. Oh, and more dodges here. Peridot getting very tricky.
Yeah, using the blink portion of his phase dash to get some more distance away from Julius. But now that's a wave building on the bottom side of the map, and Nexavis is now level 6 with his Ionian Boots of Lucidity. Let's see if he heads down this way or if he continues to power farm as he clears out Krugs. Yeah, he's actually on this side of the map.
Yeah, things seem pretty tame right now, but they're about to get a little more risky. We have, a 400 gold lead that's purely from jungle and top right now.
Yeah, just going to go for a ward.
Ultimates are coming out.
Oh,
He's going to go on to Julius.
Eats a lot of damage here. Tries to steal some of the honey fruit.
Uh-oh. Oh, it looks like he is going to get a little bit of it. Fight. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting little skirmish there. I mean, Nexavis did get his ward inside of the jungle, so we'll see when that blue buff respawns, if Rhubarb's heads over to it, or if he tries to give it over to Julius in the mid lane on that LeBlanc.
Yeah. And I think, when we talked about how these teams are going to match up, right, you have the tanky side with kind of your, light-footed skirmish champions, right? And then you have your chaotic, assassination potential from kind of long range to be able to pick people off. These things are kind of building to a head right now, and when one of them gets ahead, I don't know about the ability for the other team to come back. The teams, they don't look as simple as you may be used to, but they are pretty straightforward in how they want to execute their game plan. And so I got to say that I'm a little worried about Michigan right now. I'm a little worried about their ability because I think if they fall behind, Elise is not a character you want when you're losing.
Yeah.
LeBlanc is not a character you want when you're losing. And I think, Julius doing a great job to hold his own here in the mid lane, but I'm saying I think it is on them to be more proactive, because if they just let the tanks get rolling, I think they're going to find themselves in a precarious position.
Yeah, once those tanks end up getting big, it's going to be pretty tough to bring them down. I mean, compared to normal, where tanks are already so difficult to take down, but junglers will meet up in the river. Rhubarbs gets some damage as the blue buff spawns. There's another ward on the other side from Bacon Seeker as he heads down.
Yeah, Nexivis not actually very tanky right now, going for an interesting build. Finished his Ionian Boots of Lucidity before anything else. And this is something that you'll see people kind of going for around 1,000 gold item, but it looks like they might be going for bot lane.
Oh no, that's
Rhubarb
not a good
smells
place.
this, but one Deke is potentially going down. Exhaust is
Knocked
out.
up to half. Bacon Seeker's running away. One Deke tries to go in, gets the tether, but that's not going to result in any kills, and they disengage. Oh. And take the blast cone out.
Yeah, they were holding on to that plant there to see if they did want to re-engage, though Nexivis is already going to get there. Rhubarbs does not have his flash. He's going to come up, but he might just come down to his death. Smites the Grok.
To heal himself up down to 150. They get first blood, killing Bacon Seeker, and Nexivis forced to flash away.
I have to say, you hear the phrase presence of mind quite often, but for Rhubarbs and his team to collapse instantly, for him to make the play with the smite, that is the kind of thing that can put OSU behind if you get too aggressive and those plays don't work out for you. Because, like I was saying earlier, your champions only really go in.
Yeah.
You have some ability to kind of run away, but when you're running away from champions like this, karma's going to catch you one way or the other. Peridot doing a great job of dodging so much of Julius's tricks with the phase dive. It's really cool to see.
And now it is only a 200 gold difference, down to 1. We've actually got a replay of them hopping over the wall to escape and then going right back in.
Yeah, and he's going to flash forward and try and get him against the wall. You see Alistar trying to stack up his new ability to kind of really chunk him down. Uses exhaust on that as well. Jin is able to come in, and I kind of want to call out their usage of the blast cone there in the beginning. They decided, hey, we're probably not going to need this. You saw them holding on to it. There is a possibility that had they used it to then get in on them, Alistar would have a flash to be able to get out. It's just one of those things that highlights some of the decisions that you have to make with these kind of new mechanics that are being thrown in the game. Is, sometimes you'll throw away one of the plants and then be in a situation where you needed it just after.
Yeah, the tragedy of not knowing you need it until you do.
Yeah. Level 6s now kind of coming out across the board here. Karma yet to have hers, but always has the mantra available and ready. Top lane feeling like it's gotten out. Rhubarbs just used a blast cone to get over the wall. They do not know that he's here right now.
Right in front of the scrying cone. We'll see if he tries to head over. They're trying to cheat around the vision. They actually aren't spotted.
Oh, they have zero vision of this.
They now see Rhubarbs. He's going to take some damage. Julius over the wall. Gets onto a rune, ignite, and they get it. Clean and easy, quick as you like. That's Michigan.
Talking about the plants, and then immediately they come into play once again. That is one of the primary uses of blast cones. A lot of people were very worried. It's like, oh, it's going to save you if you die, but that is its strongest use. In the early game, that extra mobility, especially on characters like Elise who want to save their long cooldowns to get out of turret dives like that, very, very powerful. And they're coming out here to an early lead. I think this is exactly what you want to have going. If you're going to be building the Titanic Hydra on Trundle, you can get collapsed on during ganks like that. You're not going to be as durable as you'd like.
Oh, Julius eats some damage from Peridot as Nexivis continues to farm it up, but as it stands, University of Michigan are feeling pretty good with that 800 gold advantage. Oh, that's
here
the
it
curtain.
is. This is a teleport in from Ixen. They really want to try to make this happen. They're not going to be able to get it onto Alistar. Hopefully they get to pull his ultimate out. I think that's what they're going for.
Yeah, they managed to proc it, but
yeah, they don't have it ignite. That's and the constant fights here in the mid lane. Peridot finally kind of pushing in and really showing his dominance. In the beginning of the lane was kind of going the other way. Now that the ult is down, they might go for something in this bot lane, but Zac is there.
Yeah, Rhubarb's forced to head top to cover the minion wave as Arun shoved it up to the turret. And with recall completed, that's not going to be an early Drake. ixnCreel decides to continue heading towards that top lane instead. So after the early excitement, it all defuses. However, that's Arun with no flash. Once again, ixnCreel with a flash, however. So we'll have to see if that turns into anything while these mid laners continue to farm it up and acquire income.
Yeah, Peridot looks like he might ult back. No, he's just going to leave it. Yeah, I want to call it something he's been doing. It's been very smart and very satisfying to watch. Normal Echo players, like myself, might just continue last hitting. He'll go in, he'll last hit a bit, and then he'll walk out to position his time clone, so to speak, on the minions he wants to last hit to kind of give him some more cover if LeBlanc wants to be aggressive. And that's how he's been playing the whole lane. Every time she moves in, he can be one step ahead of her and outmaneuver her. The other thing, though, in the top lane, they just made this fantastic dive on Trundle. Great. And then they immediately waste that advantage by having him teleport down and giving the Tiamat Trundle the ability to farm all the way up to the turret and deny more XP. So it's almost like that gank never happened top lane.
Bit of a tragedy for ixnCreel as he tries to answer back, but now down about 13 CS, so that could be a little bit challenging. Rhubarb's now on the bottom side of the map, has been spotted right on top of a ward, but that's OSU heading to the top lane. They might be looking to dive ixnCreel. He's got his ultimate. Nexavis over the wall. They found Julius as he was trying to get a flank up. Peridot gets some great damage. Meanwhile, under the turret, ixnCreel finds Nexavis. He's going to end up splitting into his bloblets. That's Cell Division and Arun looking for the kill.
I don't know that they want to keep doing this. Arun does not have the flash.
Oh, the BM! ixnCreel gets the solo kill. That's Julius on the other side as well, looking to finish off the kill onto Nexavis, but Peridot will chase. He's got the shield. Base dives in, procs the Z drive. He's still got his ultimate. Doesn't he have enough time? He pops it, but he's
going to take him right into the turret.
That's Nexavis now taking the turret as he gets damage. Finally, that's one, but Julius makes it into another. He's going to be able to pick up this kill quick as you like. As in the bottom lane, Rhubarb's will escape. It is 5-1 right now for Michigan. They're looking for number 6.
They are playing scrappy, and yet it is still so clean. You have to think that's kind of a sunk cost, right? They're like, oh no, we've already lost our guy. We got to keep going back in, and they kept going in, and they kept going in. Peridot, amazing play by ixnCreel. He waited specifically to basic attack Peridot to get the root on him once his clone was already a little up. We'll get to look at it again here. So they go in, ixnCreel puts on his shield and starts beating onto Nexavis. Gets his ult off and kind of gets that going, right? So now Arun here, and my man with the BM, one of my favorite things to see. Arun knows there's nothing he can do at this point, but I want to see if we can get to this basic attack because this was so crucial. They know that Echo is an aggressive player. They know he's going to come in, and he just waits just a little bit. You see just a little wait, and by the time that he's finished being rooted and hooked, he can't ult back. Right? His clone is only going to take him under there, and Julius is going to finish off the kill. We're now going to get to see what a pretty fed LeBlanc can do.
Yeah, 2-0-1. Meanwhile, action in the bottom lane as Rhubarb's tried to dive was not successful. Surprise, surprise, Ezreal Alistar. Little tricksy to get onto with that CC and the mobility from Ezreal. But that's Rhubarb's finding a cocoon. Peridot has no ultimate. He has to go in,
and it is so close to coming up. He might be able to get it.
Procs the sigil for a solo kill with some help from Rhubarb's.
Seconds on the clock, and that is all between Echo and safety. That was a Matrix cocoon. That was he like weaved it right between the minions right there. It's always exciting to see. And now, because of that fight in the top lane, we were talking about, Trundle kind of erased his disadvantage. Now it is stronger than ever before. You do not want to use all of your abilities just to try to break a Nautilus shield. That is part of what makes that so punishing.
ixnCreel now a full level ahead of Arun, completing that Sunfire cape, whereas Arun still looking for that Titanic Hydra, and they're doing it again. Julius heading towards the top lane with Rhubarb's.
He's just a boy. Uh-oh. All right, well, here it comes. He's just going to... Oh, God.
Oh, that's a lot
how do you do?
damage.
Who's going to take it? Yeah, they're going to give it to Julius. And, you know, this is something I think for the LeBlanc players out there. You know, LeBlanc is using a lot of her mobility to kind of assist in these kills. And we're going to have to see how the late game damage ends up coming out. You know, there's a little bit more of a ramp time, but they clearly picked it, and the pick is working. You know, setting up for a gank on bot lane, but OSU did not think this was going to happen.
Oh, that's the curtain call. Immediately spotted Value. Is he going to be able to make it out of the parallel convergence? He does! And that's Nexibus taking a lot of damage. Ixancreel teleports on cooldown, finds Bacon Seeker, but Peridot gets pulled in. That's a huge knockup. 1D falls. Value running for his life, but he will not succeed as 5 members of OSU mob onto the bottom lane for 2
Julius is coming,
kills.
though. He's coming through the top right now. Are they going to be able to get out?
Oh, that's 1 for 1 now as Julius joins up, gets the chain, makes it 2,
Lord.
makes it 3, a triple kill, 7-0-1 on Julius.
Rhubarbs is on the hunt. Don't know that he's going to be able to turn up with anything. You know, I thought that was a little bit of a misplay by Jin. He kept using some of his abilities. He ended up getting in the mosh pit. They were just buying time for Julius, and he comes out. And I think beautifully shows that he knows exactly what to do in this character.
Yeah.
Anytime you see someone underneath the turret who ignites one guy and starts bursting the other, very, very exciting stuff. We'll watch it again here. So, yeah, curtains for Value right here. Immediately gets shut out into the instant flash heal. And I want to talk about a moment that comes here. He misses the flourish, but he kind of walks back in. You know, they get Peridot. He walks back in just a little too close to an Alistar to throw down the captive audience, and that's not where you want to be. You know, he could have potentially helped finish off this fight, but it's really through Julius, who is so ahead and has such a command of LeBlanc right now that he's able to get in, start comboing 2 players at once. And I think they even, they got flash and heal out of Ezreal right at the very end there. That is an even bigger win than I had previously thought.
Yeah, so despite 5 members diving onto 2, that ends up being a 3 for 3 when it's all said and done, and all 3 of those kills are on the very tanky LeBlanc. As you can see, first turret of the game has been taken by University of Michigan in that bottom lane. I believe that first brick gold went to Rhubarbs and Julius as 1Dig and Value swap up to the top lane and take a second.
So Dom, I gotta ask you now, you know, we are at 32,000 gold to 26,000 gold. How do you think OSU's feeling right now? How do you think the people at Ohio are feeling right now? Because this is not how they thought this was going to go at all.
I mean, we talked about the skill difference between these players, about how they would have to show us the strategy and the team play in order to come out in this matchup. And right now, Michigan, they're saying, you know what, boo to your strategy. We'll just kill you.
Good day to your strategy.
Yes.
I shall pick LeBlanc.
Exactly.
Have at you.
7-0-1. 2 items. That's Morello's and Abyssal, and Sork boots before 20 minutes.
He's about to do some bad things to some good people right now. I want to call something out too. You know, is they're going to get the Infernal. This is going to be really, really hard for them to come back from. But there are still ways to come back. You know, I think one weakness of OSU's comp that they have to realize right now is they had what looked like a favorable gank in the bot lane, right? They converted the dive, they got all the kills, and they were ready to get out. But the way their champions are situated, because they didn't pick the burst damage, right? Because they didn't pick the strong follow-up, it took them so long to get that going. Ooh, this looks like it's going to be a really big one.
Mid lane. It's a lot of chaos as everyone split. Ixancreel very deep, but is going to be able to walk away. The curtain is called right in front of everyone. Peridot eats 2 bullets. The 4th is going to find Bacon Seeker as Julius tries to proc another sigil. Meanwhile, Pustoy was able to take the top tier 1, the first turret of the game for OSU, so that was traded in favor of the Dragon, but UM might not be done trying to break down this mid-tier 1.
Right, and right as I'm about to make a point, they perfectly illustrate it for me. If you are OSU, you know, you're saying, oh, we have the huge engage, right? We have the Echo Stun, we have the, you know, we have the pool party Zac. We want to go in there, but that is not what you are set up to do. It looked like a beautiful engage, right? And then the damage stopped, and there wasn't really anything to do. And so you have to be watching out. LeBlanc on the side.
Oh, he's on the hunt. Can he proc the chain?
Pulls out right for the last minute, but might be in trouble. Has to flash to get away from Peridot, but still, that doesn't change the equation of what's happening right now. You need to be looking for the individual picks if you're OSU. You need to be using your overwhelming force to take these advantages bit by bit rather than taking the big fights. Because when Karma's Mantrid Shield at this much of a gold advantage can just nullify a lot of your engage potential, that's going to be so hard for you to deal with. Split pushing and picks. I think that's what they need if they're going to progress in this game.
It's certainly going to be challenging. If you split and get too far alone, it might just be Julius showing up to say, sorry, what was that? You thought you had a ward here? How about Decoy? to split someone into the right direction. I haven't had too much opportunity to see it happen just yet, but it looks like he's heading down towards blue buff right now. Might head bottom afterwards.
Yeah,
there's nothing quite so much fun as watching an AD carry just go.
Yeah, and you know, if you're talking about the RR, the mimicked mimic,
yeah.
It is going to be a little harder for us to see. That said, it is on its own separate cooldown, so it's not like she has to give up any of her damaging abilities to go for it. So it is something that when we do see it, you know, we'll have to look out for it. But even if it comes up only once or twice in a game, you know, it's something like the package in the beginning. Uh-oh, 1D getting caught out. There's a proto belt in this person's future.
Yeah.
But Julius ends up walking over. You know, I don't want to say it's all doom and gloom for OSU.
Sure.
You know, you are definitely sizably down as Rhubarb tries to walk in. No mana, though. Try to take this blue buff. But we're going to need to see a commitment from them to what their comp did. I'm a little worried that some of that cockiness came in with them, and they said, well, let's just pick champs we're good at.
Yeah.
You know, let's just play the stuff that we know how to do. And that here you are, you know, seeing some of that preparation fall by the wayside. And it was mechanical errors, right? You know, it was the things that we were talking about. They just simply got outplayed in some of these times.
Now, 22 minutes in, things have slowed down a little bit after those first 3 turrets went down for OSU. And with that 5,000 gold lead, you can see U of M are looking for a pick somewhere in the jungle, just trying to contest vision, pressure waves. Rhubarbs takes the style exit as the poor Spiderlings have to make it all the way around.
Yeah, you just transform back, they'll be fine. But, you know, credit to Michigan. When we were talking about, you know, kind of the keys to the game for them, they were saying, you know, we need to play methodical. You know, we need to control the vision. And look at the number of control wards that are right by each other, right? You were creating this huge blackout field. And Rhubarbs was straight up in their jungle and could not be seen. Yeah. Right? He was waiting to leap on someone, the nearest person that came through, and he was able to make it out unseen, right? Bacon Seeker only just put down this ward.
And it is already cleared. Michigan are definitely trying to control all of this vision. Finally, OSU trying to fight back, but even a sweeper follows it up as Ixencreel follows up.
Uh-oh. Exodus.
Should be
really
fine.
Close to danger.
Yeah.
That karma only took his life. No, Peridot just trying to use the little bit of wave clear that he has, but, you know, wave clear is an interesting thing. I joke with a lot of people that when you're trying to build team comps, it's like people's car keys. It's, you know, you head out of the house, you're ready to go, you've locked yourself out, and you're like, wait, what happened to our wave clear?
I forgot something.
Yeah, did you have it? You know, what ended up happening? And so here, you know, you have Peridot's Time Winder that's going to do a decent enough job, but when you can get something like a Baron in, right? What is it that they're really going to have? You know, Ezalt maybe buys you one wave. Trundle's got to get right up there to it. And so it allows them to put pretty significant pressure, but also it means that when you are able to get all the side waves moving at the same time and kind of crashing into the lanes, it's going to be very difficult for them to put up a sizable response, right? And you're just going to hear Ezreal auto-attacking over and over again, hoping to get something moving.
And that's what we see happening right now is Peridot solo kills onto Value. Michigan trying to catch their waves in the side lane, leave Value unprotected, and he goes down with Dragon up in 25 seconds. All of the hard work and vision that University of Michigan have set up, have prepared for, has just gone to waste as OSU find a pick and a single slip up.
Yeah, and if I'm at Ohio State, I'm screaming my head off for Peridot right now because that is exactly the kind of play that you need. And watch, he has Cloud Drake. He doesn't even know that anything's going to happen, and it's the Proto Belt into basic attack that does it. You're kind of used to thinking that the Time Winder's got to come back, and you can dodge that, you'll be fine, but that is not what happened here. And an Ocean Drake, not exactly what I think they're looking for at this stage of the game, but they'll take it, especially if they plan to be spending a lot of their time expending resources at turrets. It can be something that's really going to help them out.
Trying to clear out the waves now being pressured in by University of Michigan. That's the top wave and the bottom wave building up. Looks like they will be crashing in relatively soon. Baron now has since spawned. Actually, no, that's going to push in favor of OSU if that minion stays alive. Ooh, it's close, but not quite close enough.
Yeah, I don't want to overstate the impact of that play right there, but I mean, it gave them some vision control and some dragon control that you know, just minutes ago we would have never thought they would have access to. You know, and really big credit to Peridot there. Kind of the, what is it y'all call it in esports, the heads-up play?
Yep.
Is that the, yeah, there you go.
Very, very heads-up play from that fella right there.
Very heads-up play.
Yes.
Good show. Echo kind of walking around to the side. Now, you know, flanking is kind of the name of Echo's game, and especially with the burst from the Proto Belt, you know, he really kind of wants to come in when you don't expect it. And that's a difficult thing when you have Echo and Zach, because both of them have a very similar playstyle. They both want to be in Fog of War, and they both want to flank you. So who's actually going to be your front line? Who's going to stand there, you know, like right at the beginning? It just, going back to what I was talking about, Champs, like, it requires finesse. And they're doing the best they can right now. Uh-oh.
Peridot has found a friend. Julius
doesn't even seem to see it just
there
yet.
He goes. Might have been looking at the minion waiver in shop or something. Actually going to bop back as Rhubarb is down there as well.
Sure?
Peridot has got his teleport. Oh, wow, wow. Follows him up from the far side. He cannot chrono break while CC.
Never mind, he is sure. He is very sure. That Julius is a braver person than I may ever be.
Oh, wow.
Teleporting back while you are on top of the time clone. Now, he knew that he didn't have vision, you know, or that he only just acquired it, but one R press probably obliterates your soul at that moment. So that was really fantastic move by Julius. And, you know, just on the one hand that we were praising Peridot, you know, I think he got a little too caught up into the narrative, right? You know, he's like, oh, I got to be the one that's going to make the thing happen. And then, of course, they wave the juicy 7-0 LeBlanc bait in front of you, and it transforms into 8-0.
That's part of the difficulty with the heads-up play. Is your head actually up? Are you actually finding the right opportunity? But again, now this is Michigan trying to push into this top
Nexus
lane.
did not ask for this. That hero minion saving him from more damage off the cocoon, but it is here right now. Echo's going to see if he can't get in there, and yet Karma's mantra, huge deal. And Julius, does he even care about this?
Yeah, flanking from the side, finds some damage, but he's still got the cell division, so he should be fine. Forced to leap away.
The locket, sends a bullet out with him.
Wow, the bullet actually found him as he was leaping in midair, so that's cell division down.
Wow.
And Julius looking for the flank, trying to pull Pistoy or Peridot back, as this minion wave will get pushed in. There's no cannon in this one, so it's going to be tough.
That's why they call him value. Every shot counts.
Yeah. Here goes the wave clear.
Really making them all happen.
Knockup isn't going to find anyone except for Ixenkreel, and he is happy with that. Peridot looks for
Rhubarb.
Get one.
Rhubarb might go down.
Repels up to safety. He's going to come down to the middle of things, though. Tries to get out over the far side. Bacon Seeker drops Ixenkreel over the wall. Arun polishes it off for 1 kill, but it's 2 for 1 so far. Cocoon is going to miss as Rhubarbs tries to kite it out.
Rhubarbs does not actually want this. Like he's fronting like he wants it, but he does not want to be up there. Meanwhile, Pistoy
forced to flash away. Will survive, though, but that's all 4 members of Michigan finally breaking down that tier 2 turret, and there's a minion wave mid.
Man, shoutouts to 1Dig, because these Karma Mantrid shields have been on point. They're coming at exactly the right time, stopping a ton of incoming damage, and you know, this is almost a replay of what we saw in the mid lane, right? It's like, oh, they're pushing on our turret. What are we going to do? Use all of our engage. Have it get nullified, right? You know, Trundle gets to pick up 1 for him, which is cool. Shoutouts to Trundle. You know, cool champ. But, like, all right.
Yeah, here comes the replay once again. Ixenkreel in the front to start things off as Peridot tries to assassinate, but just can't quite get it off. And from there, Peridot gets destroyed again by the CC. Can't chrono break while crowd controlled. And they clean up the 1 for 2.
Yeah, you see Rhubarbs is like, actually, no, I don't want to get into this troll. Maybe, and then I'm out.
Can we get him? Can we get him? Can we get him? Should we go? No?
You let him go at this point.
Yeah.
But, you know, I have to say, Peridot seemed to handle himself well in the matchup, right? You know, he had a little bit of a fumble in the beginning as they're actually headed for Baron. This is on top of a ward.
Yeah, 30 minutes in. Here comes Bacon Seeker. Julius trying to zone away. There's teleport. He's trying to get in there. Baron's down to 3,000 health. Teleport complete. Bacon Seeker goes in. That's going to be Nexus is in the pit, but it is picked up by University of Michigan. They are trying to clean it up. Peridot over the wall, trying to find 1D. He will be able to find 1. Value drops as well, but Rhubarbs cleans it up. Meanwhile, Julius has died as well. It's up to the 2 tanks of University of Michigan to try to do what they can. Stun onto Ixenkreel as Rhubarbs falls.
Ixenkreel is taking some people down with him right now on the reel.
That is 2 for 4, and Ixenkreel isn't done.
Walk away from the thing. Yeah.
Oh, there he goes. Gets away from the slow.
This is the saddest thing I've ever seen.
Oh, man, they're trying to extend the wall. He's got the Baron
Do the hook move.
He's going
Does he have enough mana? Oh, but he gets the Colossus.
He might. Arun is still going and then continues to trade on. Ixenkreel walks away with the Baron buff, the sole survivor. But that is 4 for 3 in favor of OSU.
Oh man, that's a lot of action to break down. If we have a replay of that, it's gonna be a very, very long replay. No,
yes.
look, so right, like, yeah, and then here's the replay.
Here we go.
Right over here on the side, this is important. Julius isn't able to get the assassination onto Peridot, and when he walks in, he is immediately blown up. Pustoy and Bacon Seeker pounce, and that is important. That is her first death of the game, I believe.
Yes.
And then it's just kind of, it's all over from there. I think the important thing, though, is making the call to go for this play when you are against the full AoE team. They were able to split up kind of the skirmish group, so those Karma Shields aren't getting their full value. You're not actually going to mitigate anything, and 1dig is now in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, speaking of Slit right now, UM are trying to run for their lives. Ixencreel dropping the crowd control. 1dig is running, and Ixencreel back into the thick of things on top of a blue buff. Doesn't even seem to care too much.
Oh, he's so courageous.
Finally dropping down to half. Julius has arrived from top lane. He's made it across the map. How tanky this guy is.
Redemption is coming down. That's going to do a sizable heal.
Ends up healing. That's University of Michigan's Redemption. They get their first kill on the Bacon
Seeker is alive.
Following it up with a second. That is 2 kills, 3 kills now. And Michigan are taking these fights head on.
It's like 1 step forward, 2 steps back for OSU right now, and I sympathize with them. They are experienced. They have a lot of wins under their belt. And how many times have you ever made a comeback for anyone watching at home and it looked like that? You're like, oh, we got the Baron. Let's go do the thing. We're invincible. But actually, Ixencreel is invincible. I have to imagine that name actually means invincible in some kind of language. And he is just so bulky and so big. The Karma Shield looks enormous on him.
And 1dig still alive.
Yeah. Looked like Value was trying to finish off 1dig there, trying to friendly fire his own teammate, but they'll just take the Bramble back and be happy with it. But
nobody saw that. Trying to get the crit. It finally resets. Okay.
Team Blast Cone?
Ocean Drake.
Hey, Value.
4 of them across the wall now, taking this Ocean Drake. 1dig says, yes, I can finally heal up. As he will head back to base. It's an 11,000 gold lead for University of Michigan. 33 minutes in. Here's the attempted pick onto 1dig once again, but they just don't have enough.
Right, and so it's the lack of damage from their comp, right? It's not just that Ixencreel is insane, right? They have 3 tanks, but then another thing is, are they going for the right targets? We were talking about they needed to coordinate picks, but do you coordinate a pick on Karma? Like, Karma and Nautilus are the people I do not want to see killed first on this team because of how difficult they are to get down and the number of resources you have to throw in. And then, they say, oh, let's fight the Redemption. Maybe it's going to be okay for us. And then Jin shows up, and everybody out of the pool. Julius is trying to make it happen. I think he ends up flashing for this one.
Oh, boy.
Kaboom.
Yeah, doesn't even have to wait for the Sigil to finish proccing.
Yeah. Uh-oh. And we are right into the thick of another fight.
Yeah, Curtain Call gets dropped. Peridot over the wall.
In a lot of trouble.
Got the Chrono Break on top of 3. Oh, that's a lot of shields. But he walks away with his life. Value isn't able to tag him.
Stunned by something. That was actually really, really difficult.
Yeah,
situation in the maneuver.
They continue shoving forward. He's just looking for the optimistic kill.
What, says Julius. Like, you are going back the whole way. Zach, at this point, watching Zach flail his goofy arms onto Nautilus is one of the funniest things. Pustoy ends up getting the depth charge.
Peridot follows Julius through the distortion and immediately regrets it. He's forced to Chrono Break out. Snare! Julius is going to get the kill onto a rune of all people before making it back over the wall. That's the tier 2 gone. The mix inhibitor gone. And there is just nothing OSU can do.
Yeah. Put it like tiny baby is Ixencreel right now. Just take. I think, God, when you have 5 members of the team and a turret, man, this guy is out of this world. He's awesome. But yeah, the Zac initiations I think are not going in the right person, right? I was talking earlier about flanks, right? You need the Echo flank, you need the Zac flank, and is it? You weren't going to kill him, man. Come on, don't even act like, we got him. But you need to make the flanks. And so because he's not finding the flanks, because Michigan has been controlling the vision so well, he's having to ult from, or not ult, rather, slingshot from really predictable positions, right? He's coming from the way back. So the only person he's going to hit is his front line. He's not allowed to start the chaos where he needs it to go. And so, Peridot gets little victories here and there on the side, but it's not enough because they're not hitting together.
I'm just giggling internally at the.
I'm giggling externally. There's a lot of giggling happening in and around this desk right now.
It's 36 minutes in. He's already 5 items, 5.5 technically. He's halfway to being full, more than halfway.
Did anyone notice that like all the tank items are the same shade of gray? They're like a grayish
all
orange.
stacked up, yeah.
But then his icon looks like it as well. That's just I just bought all the Nautilus. I bought all the items that look like my character.
And suddenly it worked out. Okay, curtain call as they're trying to open up. Arun is going to be caught. Oh, the hook just
is
barely
it curtains
misses.
for Arun? Nexavis is attracted to Ixencreel or something.
Trying.
He's just keeps
Redemption
going right
for
in.
damage doesn't do that much as one Dig is only level 13. That's Cocoon onto Bacon Seeker. He's nice and tanky, but the flank from LeBlanc.
Julius is in the wrong base.
He's looking for it. No, he's exactly where he wants
Yeah,
to be.
I know.
As the rest of the team comes in,
Hops
he's trying
over.
to get the snare.
Gonna complete it on the other side.
Doesn't proc the
Tricky
sigil, and
plays.
Mustoy is burning down, but Julius on the chase. Oh, pops it for the kill. Actually goes the wrong way and finds Bacon Seeker, but might be on purpose as that's now a double kill. Nexavis will fall. That's already 3, and they might be looking for 4 and 5, if not the Nexus itself. Michigan are going to take game number 1 over OSU.
Here it is, the last little bit of health going out on the Nexus. Julius wanted to style a little bit more.